we have a question in the chat. And the question says, is there any truth to the 20% of guys get 80% of all women? So look, if I'm going to be honest with you, I think that there is somewhat of truth to that, but I think ultimately it's a marketing ploy. Like, I think that just businesses in general do a good job of marketing the whole numbers thing. And like I watch Corey Wayne stuff, and he talks about, the 3% man, only 3% of men get like most of the women or know what to do with women. That I actually believe could be true. I think that most men ultimately really don't know how women communicate and how they best are attracted. But that said, I find that ultimately, in terms of 20% of the guys getting 80% of the women, what I think is this. I think that there's not that, if we're going in terms of like the high value men that women are typically looking after, I don't think that there are enough high value men out there. Like, I think there's like realistically maybe 10% of men that would be considered high value in terms of like from a money or status point, like, like a high end job and stuff like that. I think there are plenty of average to great guys out there that honestly do pretty good. I think that most average to slightly above average men end up with average to slightly above average women. I think there are more average people overall than like extremely hot or extremely muscular or extremely financially, in the millions and billions of dollars out there. I think that for purposes of what I do, that in this dating space, the media and the marketing behind it does a great job of saying, you got to become that 20% or that 3% guy to get a woman. And I don't think that's true. But I think that what happens is that I think women in particular oftentimes overlook the average guys for a good portion of their life. And then at the point where, their fertility is starting to dry up, or at the point where they get into their 30s and like they're not the hot, cute thing anymore, then they decide to open up and expand what they're looking at. Whereas those older guys, honestly, most guys are like, we might have a certain type, like, oh, I like light skin or dark skin, or I like a woman with TNA. But I think that even if we have a certain likes, we're more often willing to settle for something else because our overall drive is to be able to procreate and to care and protect women. And sometimes we might want to go after that 10 model, but there's a 6 over here that is friendly to us and is willing to actually let us be the man that we want to be in terms of our actions, and we'll be fine with that. I think in terms of women, I think some of them learn that lesson a little bit too late. And honestly, I think too this, I think that women that grow up in 2-parent households have a more realistic view of the kind of men that they should actually go for versus women that grow up in single-parent homes, whether they're with a single mom or a single dad, because there's trauma there. There's been a divorce, there's been a break in the family. And I think that those kind of women, as a result of that, are typically looking at the top 20% of guys because situationally, they don't want to be stuck the same way that they were stuck as kids. Because a lot of women that come from single mom homes, for example, their moms didn't make a lot of money. They were always struggling. And so by default of that situation, yeah, they're going to look for a guy that makes 6 figures or is in the top 20% because as long as he has money, she's not going to go for broke. She's not going to worry about where her next meal is coming from or where she's going to be living. Okay. Now, women get into those situations with those 10 or 20% of guys, and then they realize in those situations, they didn't consider that those guys are won up by all women. And so those men typically tend to cheat a lot more than maybe the average guy would because he has the money to do that. And he has the resources to be able to take care of a bevy of women if he so chooses. Not all women want that, but there are plenty of women that are willing to be part of that. Like I look at P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, whatever. He had Young Miami follow him around while he had a baby with another woman. And she was just like, well, when we're together, we just do our thing because she's a person that's after the money. So I think there are women out there like that, but I think that the dating sphere in general does a really bad job of saying women only want those guys. Because again, I consider myself an average to maybe slightly above average guy, and I do pretty well. So hopefully that answers that question.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man.